Greetings, my fellow Africans and the entire world. Once again, I come into your homes and your minds with a message of empowerment and enlightenment, all the way from the African Mental Emancipation Movement. The African Mental Emancipation Movement is a movement that was set up for the complete and total emancipation of the African minds from mental slavery, as observed by Marcus Garvey and sung by Bob Marley, that emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. The human mind is a powerful tool. It's a powerful gift that has been given to mankind. And as a matter of fact, your mind is your God, whether you believe it or not. Your mind is your God. Your mind is the creator of everything in your life. Therefore, whatever your life is, whatever your circumstances, whatever your environment is a product of your mind. So you are the product of your mind or the product of your thoughts. As a matter of fact, in the human being's mind, there is nothing over there except thought. And so any group of people that conduct their life without the complete understanding of the power of thought always go on to create things that are painful in their life because they abuse their minds and their power of thought. And so today I'm going to speak to you on a topic that I call Africans are habitually weak-minded people or weak thinkers. Africans are habitually weak thinkers. I know majority of people listening to me may not take this lightly because it comes as if I am abusing Africans, I am disgracing Africans. But as a matter of fact, if you look at my complexion, if you look at me, I am not an European, even though I find myself in North America. I am not an European or any other race, but I am African. I was born and raised in Ghana. I'm a Ghanaian. Therefore, I'm a true African. And so what I'm talking about is about a higher level of thinking. And I am calling upon every one of you listening to me to begin to do this high level thinking. Let us begin to question. Let us begin to analyze our own lives. And as a matter of fact, no medical doctor can actually heal any person without first diagnosing the person, the kind of diseases the person is suffering. In the same way, no medical doctor can save any amount of woman that needs a medical surgery without first cutting through the person. And so it is with us, Africans. We have our own life, we have our own environment, we have our own existence. But what we always run away from is the questioning and the analysis of our own existence, our own conduct of life, and to seek improvement. And so when I say Africans are habitually weak-minded or weak thinkers, I am making a very important statement based on the circumstances, the level of our development, and where we are. Let us take our minds and liken it to a car. So we have a different type of car. We have Mercedes-Benz, we have BMW, and we have this lower class, the Hyundai and all those things, all those cars. And so if you are riding in a very high-performing car, you can go at a high level speed. And at the same time, if someone is riding in a low performance car, the person's speed will not be as the same as the one riding in a high performance car. And when you look at these two situations and you say the one riding in the low performance car has a low performance car, then you are not actually insulting the person, but you are only making a complete description of what the situation is. And it is in the same way. Africans, if we are to compare ourselves with other people in terms of what men and women have used their minds to move themselves, to develop themselves, and to create in their life, then it is a universal truth. It is a fundamental truth that we are weak-minded people. We are weak thinkers. But we are not born with it. No man or woman is born a weak thinker. God has given every human being a mind equal to all other people's mind. We are using the same mind. But as I've used the car analogy, someone may be riding in a Mercedes-Benz on a highway and be going only at 40. Or someone may be riding in an old car, low-performance car, but he's going at the speed of 100, and he's going faster than the one riding in the new high-performance car. The speed, the differences in the speed between these two people is not because of the car, but it is because of the confidence and the knowledge of the people riding the car, or the cars, riding in the car or driving the cars. And so that is how it is with our lives. We are all given a mind. Our minds are powerful. But you become a weak thinker, you become a weak-minded person when you do not exercise your mind to do what it's supposed to do. Our minds are given to us to exercise them, to analyze our lives, to look at situations, analyze them, and create solutions to them by the use of our minds. And that is why St. Paul categorically stated that, be ye transformed by the renewal of your minds. And so when I say we are weak-minded people, I am not taking myself out, but we are all Africans. But based on what we have used our mind for right now, up to this stage, we will have to accept that we are weak-minded people. We are weak thinkers. And when we come to this point, now that we become conscious of this fact, then we have to take the steps to look at how we can make our mind strong. We can think at the highest level, such that we can be at par with other people. As I've already said, all men and women are given the same mind. But the training we have given to our minds, based on what our perspective of life, based on our beliefs, based on how we conduct our life, that depends as to whether we are actually enslaving our mind or we are freeing our minds. A low performance mind is a mind that is enslaved, it's entrapped by the owner's own beliefs. A high performance mind or higher thinker is a free thinker, it's the one that has a free mind that is not limited in any way. And so Africans, we are created in the images and the likenesses of God like any other human being. And we are given the same mind. But we have accepted some beliefs into our lives. And for that matter, we are slowing down our own progress. And today, my job is to expose you or to bring to your consciousness of this fact. And we begin to take the necessary steps as to how to empower one another, as to how to get ourselves out of this situation. And so, if we are to look at our surroundings, let us go right away into our communities. If you go to anywhere, if you visit any town, any city, the character, the level at which the men and women are using their minds is depicted by their surroundings, their environment, and their level of evolution, their level of development. And as an African born in a village, I have traveled through the stages of African life. And you see that Africans, we are characterized, or we are visibly underdeveloped. And why is it that we are underdeveloped? It is because we are not using our minds. Any man or woman, any group of people, anywhere that we call them developed, didn't become developed because God actually conjured the development for them. But they became developed because they exercised their minds. And since we are not exercising our mind, we have to actually show the level or the effect of how we are using our minds. And so today I am here to empower you. I am here to call you to the truth that your mind is a creator. It's a creative medium. And therefore, wake up and let us begin to use our minds positively and constructively. The very fact that we are always underdeveloped, we are always lacking things, is an indication that we are not using our minds effectively. And it is also as a result that we lack the understanding of the universal principle, the universal truth of the truth that you are a creator. You are created and born in the image and the likeness of God. You are not limited in any way, but you are given the powers to improve upon your life. And so now is the time that we have to become conscious of this. And as a matter of fact, there is a universal truth, a metaphysical truth that life is a state of consciousness. Your life is a state of consciousness. What you are continually awakening to is what your life becomes. And so whatever our life is, whatever our circumstances, our environments are, is what we are awakening to in our minds. And this is the time that we have to wake up. This is the mental emancipation that we ought to do. The African has enslaved himself in the mind for far too long. We have depended on outer things as a source of our powers. We have accepted some traditions and beliefs into our lives. And these things have actually slowed down our progress the way we are supposed to go. And so today, now is the hour, now is the time that the African will become conscious of the fact that nothing in our lives will ever come to us. Nothing will come to us in our lives until we make effort. And no one can bring improvement into our lives until we make the deliberate effort to use our minds to improve upon our lives. There is no way that a group of people will use their minds at the highest level and continue to be underdeveloped. There is no way that a group of people will use their minds positively and constructively that they will still remain in backward and debilitated state. A mind, regardless, once used rightly, receives ideas, receives inspiration from on high, and this then becomes your reality in your life. And so our life is basically a movie, a story that we are creating. And whatever you will see, whatever you will create is what people will look upon to comment on. People will only look at your life and comment on it, just as we watch movies and comment on them that they are good movies or they are horrible movies. And so Africans, collectively and individually, we are creating our own lives by the use of our minds. And as it is, Africa is underdeveloped. Africans are poor. Africans are living in low-class environment. We are unable to use our minds to create solutions to our problems. All these are the evidences of how Africans, we are weak in mind. And this is the time that we have to wake up. You are not born like that. You are not created like that. You are created a powerful and a wonderful being, given the most powerful tool in the world, in the life in the universe, and that is your mind. But your mind will not do anything for you so long as you are not using it in its right way, at its highest level. So now is the time that the African, let us rise up and let us use our mind positively and constructively. We do not need education. Education is good. All the other things that we now see them as the most important things are good, but they are not the most important thing. The most important thing is about your knowledge about who you are, the powers that you have, and for the fact that your mind is the creator of your own circumstances. Once you know this, you have the key to life. And then if you have the education, then that your education becomes worthwhile. We have a lot of educations. They are all derelicts, poor people that our education doesn't bring any improvement in the life of anyone. Now is the time that the African will wake up to the fact that God has given us a mind. And this mind is the creator of everything. And God is always ready to give us ideas, to give us inventions and improvement, innovations in our lives. God is ever moving. We are co-creators with God. And God always brings out good and beautiful things. But we can only co-create with God positively only when we open up our minds and we know who we are and what we possess. And that is why the writer of the book of Proverbs says that in all thy getting, get understanding. Wisdom is the principal thing. And in all thy getting, get understanding. If you understand life, if you understand who you are, if you understand the power of your mind, if you understand the power of thought, you will begin to take control of your mind, and you begin to take control of what you allow to run through your mind. Africans, we do not have this knowledge, and therefore all that we allow to run through our mind is our wild thoughts, and therefore we create wild circumstances, we create wild experiences. And it is all because we haven't actually been exposed to the truth. And today, I am exposing you to the truth. You are a human being created in the image and the likeness of God. And God has given every man or woman the power and the dominion to overcome his or her circumstances. And so long as we bury ourselves in religion, we bury ourselves in traditions, we bury ourselves in all these things that are not that necessary, and live in our minds that we are not thinking, then the world will always refer to us as weak-minded people, underdeveloped people. That is the truth. That is the fact. And when the world describes us that way, it is not their doing. They are only commenting on the movie, the history, the story that we are creating for ourselves. And so, my fellow African, rise up and seek the truth. Peg yourself from all these superstitions. Look, yesterday when I spoke about the mental slavery and I related it to corruption, it is true. Africans, we are so preoccupied in things that are not important. Our forefathers sat down and indulged in religion, never interacted, never attempted to do anything higher until foreigners came to dominate them and then colonize them, that we also became the product of that. And now is the time that we have to emancipate ourselves from all this. The mind of an African is the same as the mind of the European, but we are not seeing improvement in our life because we are not using our minds at the highest level. Therefore, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None can free our minds except ourselves. What are your beliefs? What do you believe in? What are the principles upon which you are molding, you are shaping your life? Africans, we conduct our lives based on religion, based on these taboos and traditions. Now is the time for us to review all of them and begin to work on ourselves. There is a fundamental truth, and the truth is that the human being is here to partake in the ever movement of evolution, the creation of God. God set forth creation, and he is continually creating with mankind positively. And only those who have made their minds ready, only those who have made themselves ready, are those that will actually see this as a reality in their lives. So Africans, we don't need all of us. We only need a critical mass. We only need a cross-section of Africans who will become awakened to this fact. And now we begin to conduct our lives in alignment with the laws of the universe, but based on tradition, not based on religion, not based on all these things that we are doing. Such that men and women will begin to think free. Men and women will begin to think free and act as independent, free and independent beings that have the right to change and mold their life in any way, whichever way they want. But we are doing it positively. So emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. As I'm speaking to you right now, you are an educated person. You may be you have graduated. You may even be a PhD holder, but you are walking in bondage. You are walking in fear. You are afraid of evil forces. You are afraid of witches. You are afraid of juju or all other things. And for that matter, instead of you meditating, instead of you thinking to receive ideas, you go to bed fretting. You go to bed worried. You are bombarding evil spirits. That is the number one mental slavery that Africans we have put ourselves in. And that has made us weak-minded people, people who do not interact, people who does not use their minds to analyze things. Now is the time that we have to save ourselves from this. No one can save us from that. Education is just an add-on. And as I mentioned it in one of my videos, education is just like a dress that has been placed on us. If you take it off, you still have your body. Education does not change us. It is just an add-on. But our mentality is what changes us. But our mentality is based on what we believe ourselves to be, what we believe to be. What do you believe in? What is your concept about yourself? What is your concept about God? What is your concept about yourself? You are God incarnate, and therefore you have no limitation. You have no weakness. Those weaknesses and limitations comes into your life, becomes a reality in your life because you are accepting them to be. And therefore the African has enslaved him or herself for far too long. And now is the time for us to liberate ourselves. Let us emancipate ourselves from this mental bondage of fear of all other things, fear of outer things. Let us emancipate ourselves from this mental bondage that God has shortened us. Let us emancipate ourselves from this mental bondage that some people always have to come and solve our problems for us. You are a human being with blood running through you. You sleep and wake up just like any other person anywhere. African, that is who we are, and that is what the Europeans are, that is what the Asians are. In the same way, there are ideas, there are inventions, there are revolutionary things running through all of us, all in and around us, seeking acceptance. It is just that we have closed our minds. We have actually, enslaved our mind. Therefore, we are not able to receive. Now the call is on you, my fellow African. Open your mind, free your mind, and receive the ideas. How do you receive the ideas? You ponder over things. You think over things. There is a challenge. There is a problem facing the community. There is a problem facing the nation. You don't go to church and pray. Yes, you can go and pray, but when you do your prayers, come home, meditate upon the problem, and behave as a man. Behave that you are the chosen one to have the solution to that. Bury yourself in that problem, and you will see that eventually you will receive the solution. Prayers will never give us solutions to any problem. Africans, we are deluded. We are so preoccupied with and that is the mental bondage. Issues that men and women are supposed to use their minds to analyze and to figure out solutions to. We pack ourselves in churches. We go to spiritual places to seek guidance. These are mental slavery. Religion has its place in our lives, but it will never carry us to anywhere, because God has already given us the power, the tool to improve upon our lives. So, Africans are weak-minded people. Africans are weak thinkers. I am not insulting any African. I am not insulting myself because I'm an African as well. But I'm saying this based on what we have done in our own life in relation to what other people are doing. As a matter of fact, if you look at what people are doing, the way people are moving their societies and communities forward, and Africans, we are just going backward, it's a little bit, sometimes it's sad. It is quite sad that we are wasting our lives. I've been watching the current World Cup going on, and something has been running through my mind, and I've been thinking about it. I look at the African teams. Actually, if you look at even the North African teams, the Arabs, and you look at their fans, their supporters, the way they conduct their lives, the way they conduct themselves, and the way they are dressed, how it is more modernized, it is more beautiful than Africans. Look at Ghana, look at Senegal, look at all Cameroon. Look, what are the African spectators doing? Carrying pots, some wearing this kind of smokes with amulets and all these things around them, and behaving in a certain way that is not in alignment with our evolutionary trends. Why? Because the African is not thinking. We are showing ourselves to the world, and what we can only do is to carry pots, to paint ourselves in this way that that is African tradition, that is African way of life. That means we are portraying and we are showing ourselves to the world that we are backwards. Look at the South Americans, look at the Europeans. How does their fans come to support their teams? I'm just using this as an example. And even right now, football, otherwise called soccer, was invented in Europe. And the Europeans and others, they play soccer with the mind, with mathematics, with science. Africans are playing with juju. Africans are playing with all these kind of things. You see, this is where the mental slavery is. And therefore, we are not able to improve upon our whatever we have because we are not analyzing things. Instead of people to analyze things, when a player is not doing well, instead of the person to sit down to analyze his own conduct of life and see what he's doing right and what he's not doing right for him to improve upon his life, then he attributes to the work of juju that his fellow teammates are those working against him. That is how Africans we conduct ourselves. And this is example. These are the characteristics of people who are weak-minded people, who are weak thinkers. We are failing to think. I have only used this soccer or football as an example. Look through our lives. Go to everywhere on the African continent, and you will see people cooking in dirty environment. You will see people still using old pots, clay and other things. These things were given to us by our forefathers. By now, a mind in Africa might have come up with something modernized that matches our current evolution. You are using iPhone. You are using an Android phone. That you are chatting with people all over the world, but you are cooking your food on earth pot. You are cooking your food in an open space. It doesn't match. You see, it's because we are not analyzing our life. And all these things are business opportunities for men and women to look at it, capitalize on that, bring something, bury yourself in that, and bring something to solve the problem. But we are not doing that. And so when men and women from other people say that we are weak-minded people, we shouldn't be offended. They are only telling us who we are based on how we are using our minds. Look through our lives. Go through everywhere in Africa. People are still doing things and all that we can talk of is that this is the African way. No, this is the time that the African way had to be modernized. And it can only be done by the correct and proper use of our minds. Let us wake up to the fact that we are not to be at one stage. We are to move on. We are evolving. And therefore, let us begin to analyze. Let us begin to look through our setup, our conduct of life. Everything that looks old, everything that is not improving, we seek improvement to that and move ourselves forward. By now, Africans, all our way of life, our dressing, our food, everything has to be evolved, has evolved to a certain level that any man or woman that comes into Africa, comes into our setup, will feel comfortable to use them, will feel comfortable and enjoy them. But what are we seeing? If you go to YouTube, Africans are displaying dirty things that is the African way. It's unfortunate. And that is an indication, that is evidence of weak-minded people. And this is the time that we have to emancipate ourselves. I am not insulting anyone, but I'm just bringing these issues up and to awaken you, to bring you to your mind home, that let us begin to look at things from a different perspective other than what we have been doing. And that is, let us be looking at it from the improvement perspective. Let us be improvement oriented. Let us be innovative. Innovation is about strong thinking of how you can do something higher than what you are already doing. I am doing this and that. It is becoming so slow, or it is very slow to do that. How can I speed it up? You get a method, you get a way to do it in a very fast way. That is innovation. Oh, it is not that beautiful. I'm thinking of how to parcel it, how to make it beautiful, and you bring it in. That is innovation. And you don't need to have a degree. You don't need to have anything. But it's a matter of using your mind. And now is the time that Africans will emancipate ourselves. We free our minds from all these taboos and superstitions. There is something that has been implanted in our DNA, and that thing is fighting against the correct use of the mind. Thinking. And it all comes to the point that we lack understanding of the power of thought. We lack understanding of the power of our minds. So now is the time that, my fellow Africans, let us rise up. Let us bring our minds home and let us free our minds such that an African will look at any aspect of our life. He said, no, this is old. Let us create a new one. Then we seek solutions. We seek answers. We get the answers. Then we bring the new one. The old one goes, the new one comes. That is when we are moving forward. And that is when the world will come back to tell us that, hey, now Africans are quick thinkers. Africans are higher thinkers. Other than that, we are weak thinkers and we are underdeveloped. That is my message for you. Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. As soon as we free our mind from all outer things, fear and all those things that we have used to enslave our mind, we'll be free and we will see good and beautiful things. Development, improvement, innovation will flow through our minds, and all these things will reflect in our outer experience. For the fundamental truth is that the outer condition of a person's life is harmoniously linked to his inner state. And so the underdevelopment, the poverty, and all the things that have become the outlook of Africa is harmoniously linked to who we are in the mind. And as soon as we change who we are in the mind, the outer too will change accordingly. That is my message for you. Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. So now I take this opportunity to invite you to click the subscribe button and join us. Come and let us put our minds together and let us empower one another such that we will create men and women. We will empower and create men and women, young African men and women, who will look at life that is a progressive nature. Life is a progressive, and it is our responsibility to look for improvement into our life, improvement, and innovate our way of things, our way of doing things. And as we do that, we create a new Africa that inventions, ideas, all our beautiful things are coming out of our lands, that it becomes an attraction to men and women from all parts of the world. So that men and women, all other people come and live on our land and join us to show the glory of God. As it is, Africa is inhabited by only black people. Can you imagine? Africa is inhabited by only black people. And now is the time that we have to create our lands and let it be an attraction to all men and women, such that they will come and dwell amongst us. That Africa will be a multiracial, a multicultural, a diverse continent where men and women, every group of people are there. That is the message. Once again, let me remind you, the dream of Dr. Martin Luther King is an unfinished business. And until we replicate it on the continent of Africa, that dream is unfinished business. So once again, join us and let us build an Africa that we all desire by the use of our minds. And let me leave you with the words of St. Paul, that be you transformed by the renewal of your mind. My fellow Africans, let us transform our lives. Let us transform our environment. Let us transform everything of ours by the continual renewal of our minds. And that is being conscious and awakened to the power of our minds and the power of thought. That is my message for you. Alternatively, you are encouraged to contact us through the email provided at the end of the video, or subscribe and leave a comment. We are ready to connect with you so that all of us will work together, that we will create an Africa that we all desire, that will befit the glory and the beauty of God. My name is Emmanuel Mensah. I am a co-founder of the Eagle Mentality Group and the African Mental Emancipation Movement. And I take this opportunity to thank you for your time, for listening to me, and also joining us. Thank you. God bless you.